Mr. President, how do you give this up? Do you completely stop?
How do I give this up?
Yeah, how do you do
It's not easy.
Did you stop?
You know, for the privilege of dealing with you people, it's not easy.
How do you do it, Mark Halpern? How do you know where to go around the country with these different campaigns? What's going to be the story that week?
This is a challenge every week. We use our instincts, having been involved in presidential campaigns for decades. We go where we think the right place to be. And then, like with most things like this, you got to make a little bit of your own luck. You got to hope you're in the right place, and most weeks we are.
Have you seen anything like this before? Or was it just blind luck that you decided to do this show and wound up with Donald Trump and Ted Cruz and Hillary Clinton battling Bernie Sanders and everything else?
As Mark said, we've had some luck bestowed on us, and then we've made some of our own luck. You know, this race was, you know, the years 1992, an incredible year. When there's an open presidential race, 1992, incredible. 2000 with the recount, incredible. 2008, Obama and Clinton, Palin, incredible. So we had a sense that 2016 was going to be special, but then the elephant in the room, Donald Trump has changed everything in terms of this race. And that created a degree of challenge, a kind of chaos, but also a degree of excitement. And obviously the whole country is watching in a way that we've probably never seen before. So we're able to take advantage of that to a large extent. And everybody's very, very interested in this race. We're just trying to keep up.
The media, the worst people ever. The worst.
What's this like to be able to do this every week and sort of show us the inside?
Part of the inspiration for this was being in those campaigns and seeing all the interesting, fascinating, human, dramatic moments that happen behind the scenes that you never see on the news. And to me, it just seemed like a fascinating ecosystem of characters that would be entertaining and informative for the public. And the idea of producing a show that the network, the executive president gets to see hours before it goes on, terrified most networks. I mean, they're used to seeing a show that's done months ahead of time, if not weeks. And in this case, David and his counterparts have hours. And at that point, you can't really change much. So it's a real high wire act. And that's the fun about doing a real-time documentary. Instead of doing it 6 months after an election where everybody knows the outcome, we're doing it real time. And the best thing about it for me is that junkies love it, which we assumed would happen, but other people who are casually interested in politics, this has become a real access point for them because they want to participate, they're interested, but they don't want to watch Sunday news shows, they don't have time to read the New York Times, but this is a way they can get a quick, dramatic, loose, cool way of getting on top of the political news each week and then go to work and say, I know what's going on.
How many cameras are you using? I mean, what are the technical aspects of this, Mark, that enables you to turn this out just a couple of hours before it goes on the air?
We have teams out around the country, sometimes with us, sometimes without us. And just the logistical challenge of getting the material back to New York, because we're shooting stuff in such high definition. You can't just feed it on a normal satellite truck. So there is a part of the story of this show is simply the logistical miracle. I say every television show is a miracle, whether it's live or taped. It's just a miracle to get it done on time. This show is like a miracle times 7 because we're shooting the stuff in the field, getting it all back to New York, editing it throughout the week. And then, as Mark said, we're editing right up to the last minute, often with events, as we talked about before, that occur literally the day before it airs.
One moment that's happened this season that you've gotten that even surprised you that, wow, that really makes the show. Is there a moment that you can recall here?
The first is the ability on the night of the Iowa caucuses, I was the person who was back in Bernie Sanders' hotel suite a few minutes after he'd given his speech that night, and we still didn't actually know whether he'd won or whether he'd lost or whether it was a tie, and standing there in that room with him and his family, a place that a camera normally doesn't get to go. The night of the New Hampshire primary, Mark was the only journalist on Donald Trump's private plane flying out of New Hampshire after Trump had won the New Hampshire primary. And then these guys went down to Washington, D.C. at the moment when the establishment, the Republican establishment, was most panicking over the prospect of Trump as the nominee and organized a dinner with 5 of the most kind of prominent representative members of that establishment, sat down and had a steak dinner with those guys and let them vent their fear and captured that on camera. And it was something that people have been writing about for weeks, that the establishment was in panic, but you hadn't really seen it in this way. And that image captured it. All 3 of those things are things like you would never get to see in normal news coverage or something you wouldn't even necessarily get to see in a documentary that was made a year after the election.